All right, everybody. Well, that was something for a Sunday afternoon. Beat down in Beantown, Celtics against the Warriors. Just a straight up dismantling. I'm here. Greg's here. We're going to break it down. We're going to try and figure out if we even know what just happened on this national TV game. But this is Green with Envy. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy post-game. Celtics, Warriors. Celtics 140 to 88. 140 to 88 against one of the hottest teams in the NBA. This is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Hopefully you're on a high note, like I think myself and my co-host that joined me today. He is my best friend, the coach of the podcast. It's the one and only Greg Manegas. What is good, man?
That was quite the birthday present for Jason Tatum, huh?
Whew.
Happy 26 to JT. Apparently
Also,
the crowd was singing happy birthday to him in the arena. I would have loved to have been there for that one.
Happy birthday, Jordan Walsh as well. Let's not. I don't know if Jordan Walsh was even in the building. I don't know if he was with Maine or not.
He wasn't.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jordan Walsh as well. The forgotten birthday on this celebratory occasion for Jason Tatum. But yeah, man, that's a hell of a way to start your birthday right there. Jesus, like I don't even know. So for those of you listening here, we started the game by doing a playback. That was our intention. This is gonna be a tight game. This will be fun. We'll start to build it up. We'll tweet about it. Like, yo, get in this room right now. It's gonna be hype. The excitement's there. And it was 21-21 at one point in this game, Greg. And from that point on, it just became a beatdown that I honestly like. I know I don't want to. I want to make sure that I'm remembering. Celtics got their ass kicked by the Bucks earlier this year, and that was pretty disgusting. I think somehow this topped that, and like that was a pretty bad beatdown. This is but this was also the Warriors coming in as one of the hottest teams in the NBA. There is no, what the Celtics have played. I think 5 games in 7 days at that point, or something crazy of that sort. This just felt like the Celtics had a message to send, and they wanted as many eyeballs on this murder as possible.
Yeah, they I mean, as we were doing the playback, I think I said, damn, this is a fucking beatdown at least 10 times in that first half, because the way that the Celtics just completely dismantled, that's the word we use in the title here, dismantled the Warriors. Nothing the Warriors were doing on the offensive side of the ball had any chance of going in. Jaylen Brown, I want to start with him. His pickup points on the defensive end, picking up Steph Curry. I think they showed at one point like 64 feet from the basket. He forced that very uncharacteristic backcourt violation on Steph, but he was hounding
him. There were 2 in that same sequence. They only call one of them.
Right, exactly. And Jalen's physicality on Steph, the way that they attack Steph in the post anytime, the same thing happened in Golden State, right? We went at Steph Curry anytime he got switched into the post. They tried to match our size by having Clay in the starting lineup. Pods was out today. So they tried to size up a little bit to match our physicality, but it didn't really matter. And then the rest of the guys they picked up anytime Steph was able to do what Steph does and run through the maze and get into any open space, Drew Holiday was there. Then he goes to the next area of the court. Derek White's there. Then he somehow gets open, and Al Horford's running at him with high hands. He didn't really even have to see Jason Tatum in this game. It was like those 4 guys were just locked in to what Steph Curry was doing. And it was so nice to see, because the Celtics needed this game. I don't think it was a must win by any means, but the Warriors have had our number since the finals. It just felt like they were the big brother that's been bullying us. And once little brother beats big brother one time in a fashion like this, it's pretty tough for big brother to lace him back up. I don't think they want anything to do with the Celtics.
Yeah, this was even more than, the visible beatdown on the scoreboard. This was a mental victory, right? And I think this goes back to, once again, I talked about this when we were on the playback earlier. Jaylen Brown was on the set at the All-Star game talking to Draymond Green. Yeah, we weren't ready. When it came to the finals, we weren't ready for the extra level that you all knew had to come along with that stage. But then he said, we'll be ready for you this time. And of course, I think Barkley was like, they ain't getting there. They won't be there. But I do think that this goes, especially because you look back to the game that the Celtics played in, was it December against the Warriors the first time? Also, no KP in that game, which, by the way, that's the unforgotten part about this whole thing. No Kristaps Porzingis in this game. So without one of your starters that averages over 20 points, you still put up, this kind of output. And in that game, once again, it felt like the Celtics had a lead. And mentally, the Warriors were just that stronger team, and they eventually came out on top in overtime. So going into this game, it did have an added playoff-like feel to it. And you talked about, Jaylen Brown's intensity. And I think a lot of the Steph always seeing somebody, no matter what screen, no matter what was there, this has been building throughout the year. We've talked a lot about Derek White and Drew Holiday, how they can just kind of exchange who they're guarding. Almost they have this intuitiveness to them that's been building throughout the season, where sometimes Drew Holiday will come off his guy, jump the snake, and then Derek White shoots out to the wing. Like, this is something the team has been building up throughout the entire year, and guarding a guy like Steph Curry feels like that's kind of the culmination of getting to this point and what you saw today. And then, while you said let's talk about Jaylen Brown, I think we have to address, they were daring Jaylen Brown to beat them in that first quarter. And Jaylen Brown said, I got you. I got this. And he played maybe the best quarter of basketball we've seen Jaylen Brown play all season.
Yeah, that's something as we were watching it, I kept bringing up, like, and Jaylen just completely took the gambit and he just like turned it on its own head, because they had Draymond Green covering Jaylen Brown from the outset of the game. And Draymond was in a free safety roaming position, guarding him like 08 Tony Allen. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way that they were treating Jaylen Brown, is, okay, we're fine with you going ahead.
On his name.
Put some respect on
Jaylen Brown's name.
And Jaylen was pissed, man. Jaylen was like, you're not going to guard me? Like, at all? You're not even going to pretend
he was
that
surprised,
I exist?
Right? There was a couple of shots in the first quarter where he was like, someone's coming. And then it was Draymond doing basically what you would do in a pickup game to somebody, when you do like that fake stomp at somebody from the paint and they're out at the 3-point line. Like, that's how disrespectful this
it reminded me of how my college roommate Mike Travellini, shout out to Trav, played at St. John's Prep back in the day. And he was the funniest defender ever, because he never really wanted to try on defense. So the only way he would play defense was to play mind games with you. Yeah. And what he would do is, when somebody would shoot a 3-point shot, he would literally go and he would just like blow wind at them.
He was the original Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, he was the original Lance Stevenson. And it was just the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And that's what Draymond Green's defense of Jaylen Brown reminded me of today. He was just like, go ahead, man. Like, I don't respect you as a shooter. Yeah. And this is something that I've thought about with Jaylen in the past, is like, would any team give him that treatment? Because we all know that Jaylen can get really hot, but he also can get in his own head. His mechanics can kind of go out of whack. We saw it in the playoffs last year, towards the end of the season last year. I don't know what the heck was going on with Jaylen's shot. So he can definitely go through stretches where he can't shoot, right? So it was interesting to see Draymond start that from the beginning of the game, especially when Jaylen hit his very first shot of the game, a wide open walk-up three. It wasn't like they waited for Jaylen Brown to see if he had it and got physical with him, got in his head that way. Mm-hmm. They were just like, we don't even want to try and play a physical game of basketball with you guys today. We just want to see if we have the mental advantage over you. And it just didn't work out for them.
Not at all.
Because the Celtics just stomped them.
And you talk about that physicality level, right? That we don't want to play a physical game with Jaylen Brown. The Celtics, on the flip side, wanted to look at Steph Curry. Like, we want to be physical with you every single time we can. If we get Jaylen Brown on you, if we get, I think at one point, even like Al Horford or something, whoever had Steph Curry in the post, basically, it was like, let's go there. And at the very least, we're going to put some wear and tear into Steph Curry. Like, that was a very blatant part of the game plan, and we had talked about this when we had Sam on for the game preview, that was a matchup in the previous game that they were hunting. And this like I said, this is just such a statement game from the Celtics here, that if you weren't, and here's something that I started thinking about as this game was going on, because this is now their third victory of 50 points or more in a season, and we still have like what 20 games to go.
Yeah, and
Like
we still have the Hornets a couple times, the
dude,
Wizards a couple times,
this is the other
Pistons a
part.
couple
This
times.
is the tough part. This is the
Yeah.
tough part of the second half of the schedule is this whole national game spotlight. Like once we get like this next week, it's what Cleveland, it's the Nuggets, it's the Suns. I know there's another, I think there's a game or two off, and then it's like the Bucks and maybe another Suns game or something like that. Like after that, it's all Wizards, Hawks, Pistons, Hornets. Like those games are still upcoming. This is the tough part, and they're on an 11-game win streak. And that's kind of what got me to thinking, is this team, I don't want to say that I hate this is going to sound too fucking first takey. Are they not being appreciated enough for how dominant some of this is? This is the third 50-point plus victory on
First
the
time
season.
NBA history.
First time in NBA history, and we have 20 more games to potentially break our own record. And you see a lot of the net ratings that have come out. I know Jared Weiss had this in his article the other day. It's been on, I've seen it a few other places. Like historically, this team is in that upper echelon of plus minus net ratings that are only spoken about from like Showtime Lakers, Bill Russell Celtics, like, you know, these really, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, I think were in there as well. Like these teams that everyone remembers, that's how dominant this regular season is becoming. And I don't even know if that's really realized enough, even by myself, never mind national media. I'm just starting to realize how dominating this regular season is becoming.
Well, I think it's kind of like the bigger picture example of the Jason Tatum conundrum at this point, right? Where Jason Tatum's not going to get the respect that he deserves until he wins a championship. I think the national narrative around the Celtics isn't going to be they are one of the most dominant teams ever unless they get the championship at the end of the season. So I agree with you in the moment. It does feel like they're being underappreciated, but I think that is kind of the reason as to why. But when you look at this win streak, they're at 11 games on this win streak now. When we were playing ball on Saturday, I was talking with one of the guys that was down there, and he was just like, dude, like, Jesus Christ, what's going on with the Celtics these days? Like, they're freaking unbelievable, because he's not a Celtics fan. He lives down here in Texas, so he just like hadn't tuned in, so he watched the Celtics Mavs game the other night, and he was like, I didn't realize they were playing like that. And I was like, dude, this win streak, like, it's double digits now. I don't know when it's going to end. Like, it could end any day, but I could see it getting to 15. I could see it getting to 20. The way that they're playing right now is the best that I've seen this particular group of guys play, because it's not just 3-pointers. Like, it felt like earlier in the season that they would win when they would just be super hot, and they were super hot today, right? They were 25 for 49 from 3, but it's also they're realizing the level of defense that this team can actually play. They're with Derek White and Drew Holiday, one of the best defensive backcourts ever. Then you have Jaylen Brown, who really is taking it upon himself to put himself into the all NBA defense category this year. Jason Tatum, we all know.
All NBA, by the way. I think that's not being talked about. I know all NBA rules have changed. Now it's basically just who are the top 15 players in the NBA. I think Jaylen Brown's putting himself back in that conversation as well, too, with this play.
Yeah, you know, especially the two-way impact that he has. And then we've said on this pod before that at the end of a game, if you need one stop, you're probably going to put Jason Tatum on the guy that has the ball, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you have all these guys that can play defense, but your best player, the superstar, is probably your best one-on-one defender when you need one stop, which is just absolutely crazy because of the length that he has and his instincts and all, you know, the physicality that he can bring on that side of the ball. And then you factor in Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench, playing the best basketball he's ever played. Sam Hauser just being an absolute heat-seeking missile around the perimeter. The way that he's able to set his feet anytime, you know, and the guys, we've always said, weaponize Sam. The guys are looking for Sam Hauser. How many times last year did we just ignore Sam Hauser? Right? And now we're just not doing that anymore. We're looking for him. We're seeking him out. Luke Cornett, after Tillman had a great game the other day, they go back to Cornett today, and he continues to show why he's ready. He's deserving. Whenever his number is called, we're going to do a whole nother segment on Horford and Tillman for the pod listeners. It's just going to be part of this recording. For the YouTube viewers, it's going to be a whole nother video. We're going to talk about Tillman and his impact so far with the Celtics. But then you've got Cornett, and then you've got, I mean, Porzingis didn't play tonight. Brissett Look like a
I was
man
gonna
on a
say
mission,
Brissett's the
dude.
forgotten guy. Brissett is like a guy that we've talked about all season. Like, hey, I think in like a pinch, I really like what Brissett could bring as a changeup, and now he's like the 10th guy that we don't even think of.
Dude, he was unbelievable off the bench. He had Adam, who notoriously Brissett hater, tweeted about him. He was like, "Damn, Brissett is out here hooping, and we're up by 50 points. Like,
Dude,
what
so
is
that
going
was another
on?"
part of this game where I talk about, like, I usually don't love to buy into like they were more focused this game or it's sending a message. I do think it applies to this game big time. And I
100%.
think when you look at that, when the second unit came in, there was zero let up. There was no taking the foot off the gas. You talked about Pritchard. I mean, Svi always comes in ready to shoot, but Brissett was playing great. Springer comes in. You got to see a little bit of his athleticism just going for that. Come in the first rebound that he got coming across the court to basically just out jump everybody right around the free throw line. Like, this team just is now feeling like there's some real depth to it when you add in Tillman. You start to acknowledge, and they talked about it on the broadcast a little bit too, where Richard Jefferson was kind of acknowledging, yeah, everyone was like, oh, it's really cute what you get out of Luke Cornett and Peyton Pritchard and Sam Howes. Those are real dudes. Those are real dudes right now. And then when you add in Tillman, you add in Brissett as kind of like that wild card. And of course, you have that top six, which just from top tier depth, nobody in the league can match up with that. And it's, this team is just too damn good right now.
Dude,
Like, I
Will,
wish I had something to say differently, but they're just too damn good.
the Celtics had 35 assists tonight to 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
As a team. That's a 5-to-1 ratio. I saw Spoons from First of the Floor tweeted out something the other day about like the Celtics record when they have a assisted turnover ratio above like 2.7 to 1 or something like that, and they have like an insane record when their assisted turnover ratio is that, and this was double that. 35 assists to 7 turnovers, and from the start in lineup there was only 1 turnover. Jaylen Brown had 1 turnover. Sam Hauser had 1 turnover, and Peyton Pritchard had 2 turnovers, right? So 3 of those 7 were 2 from Brissett and 1 from Springer, right? So
on that Jaylen Brown note, saw a great stat before the game today, and he just missed it in this one. He's got 6 games this year of 25 plus points and 0 turnovers. That 1 turnover, this would have been game number 7, which I think Tyrese Maxey has 7 of those games, and that would have tied him for the league lead. And then, something else I wanted to point out. Let's just keep pointing out ridiculous things about this team, because I don't know what else.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
In that first quarter, when the Celtics really started to pull away, I'm pretty sure, and they don't have it broken down by quarter here yet on NBA.com, but I think Tatum had 2 points and 2 shots in the first quarter.
Just chilling.
And so we talked about Jaylen was going nuts. Derek White had a massive first quarter as well. And then you have Jason Tatum coming in and scoring 22 points in the second quarter. And Jason Tatum's talked about this over the last couple of weeks. Like, I like feeling the game out. I like seeing where I need to be and what I need to do. And then you've got Jaylen. Once again, Kristaps didn't play, but the first quarter has very clearly become, let's go to JB, let's go to Kristaps, let's get them established. And then Tatum's going to fill in, where he needs to, because Tatum's so comfortable. I know we've talked about this with the whole MVP thing, but that you put him in OKC, you put him in Dallas, he's a 30-point per game guy every single night, maybe 32 points per game. Like, he's that type of guy, and he's cool. He's content to sit back and say, let's let them feel it out, and then I'm gonna come in and bring fucking Mjolnir with me, and I'm gonna throw down the hammer here, like, when I need to.
And with Tatum, I mean, he's playing so much of the game at point guard, man. Like,
Yeah.
I know he's listed as the power forward in the starting lineup, but he really is like a point forward, the way that he's operating right now, how much pick and roll he's running. And just, something that stood out to me the other day was Tatum had like 3 walk-in wide open threes, and how now he's getting a lot of easy shots, where in the past we talked about how Jason Tatum was probably making the game too difficult for himself. And now he's recognizing that he just doesn't have to do that, right? He doesn't have to be SGA and create 1-on-5 every freaking possession of the game.
Yeah.
He can just kind of chill. He kind of just chills in the first quarter. Right. And then he inserts himself when necessary. And I think that his ability to get all these wide open shots this year, I mean, you just can't do that with a guy like Jason Tatum. He's one of the best players in the world. You can't give him 5 wide open threes every game.
Yeah, him biding his time, getting into games. I could even hear it in the halftime. Perk was talking at one point, and I could tell from the way Perk said that, I felt like he was probably about at the end of the first quarter, he was already ready to have where's Jason Tatum again? You want me to be the MVP? Where's Jason Tatum again? And then you could hear it in his voice. So he was like, I was waiting. And then he scored 22 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Like you could tell, like it's not going to be, Tatum being able to be self-aware and bide his time. That's not going to fit well for a MVP narrative, but for a championship narrative and what this team can do with just how insanely dynamic they are, that right now, it certainly feels like that is the recipe for this team. And once again, 140 to 88. This is I guess this is a joke, man. That's a joke. Steph Curry 0 of 9 from 3. Klay Thompson only shot the ball 4 times. And the thing was, like I said, it was 21-21. It felt like at the beginning of this, it was like, all right, we're going to have a little bit of a back and forth here. Kuminga's making some things happen. Moody's, holding up decently well. And then once the Celtics just went to another level, the Warriors had nothing. They just didn't have a way to match anything that the Celtics were doing. And I think the versatility of this team, they kept finding new ways and new guys that you couldn't just focus in on. All right, Jalen's hot tonight. Let's focus on stopping Jalen. Oh crap, Derek White just hit 3 threes. Okay, let's focus on stopping him. Wait, who's the guy that hasn't really scored? Oh, Jason Tatum just dropped 22 in the second quarter. Like there just kept being something new to solve. That's what makes this team so incredible. There's always something new to solve, and it's not even game. When we get to the postseason, I think what's going to be really fun is that teams are going to have to try to solve the Celtics, not even game by game, but quarter by quarter. And I think for the Celtics, if they are forced to do the inverse of that, we're seeing the depth and versatility of them to be able to do that. Like I said, we're going to talk about Tillman here in a minute and how that changes the dynamics of with Al or without Al, or with Cornette, without Cornette, KP and everything. And now it really just feels like whatever is needed, this team has the ability to find a way to get there.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I got nothing, man. Celtics 140, Warriors 88. That is a real score in 2024 against the red hot Golden State Warriors. They take it to them today. Celtics are back at it later this week, Tuesday in Cleveland, Thursday in Denver. Cannot wait for that game. And then Saturday at Phoenix. So 11-game win streak. Taking it on the road. I think this is a 5-game West Coast trip coming up here. Yep, 5-game, not all on the West Coast. You have that Cleveland stop, but after Phoenix, they'll go to Portland and Utah for a back-to-back before coming back home next week. But those are the next 5. Should be a fun week. Stay locked in here to Green with Envy. We will have you guys covered, but we'll play you out here. We'll give you a little bit of Black Sheep Optimist on the way out. And if you're listening to us on the audio version, we got some more coming up for you, so stay tuned.
I lose my mind. It don't take much no more until I hit the floor. Every time I get this high, it's you I find. It don't take much no more until I'm at your door.
You cut me to my core, baby. What can I say? You got me on the floor, you know I came to play. I know I shouldn't, but you seem to take my pain away. And every time I score, Jason Tatum fade away. I close my eyes and I'm floating your river. I call to see if you open, you know I hope you deliver. Every time you're getting close, I still be sick with the